If you're anything like me, sometimes you just want to squeeze the most out of a book in a short amount of time, or finish a tough one in a few days and not months. Or maybe you're just trying to figure out if a book or paper is even worth your time. That's where the art of skimming comes in handy. Hello, everyone. I'm Ebby, an engineer turned aspiring literature nerd and lifelong learner. I'm on a journey to read more and grow. But I'll be honest, I'm not a fast reader nor a particularly good one by my estimation, anyways. Though I've been reading for most of my life, I'm still very slow. I'm often not great at focusing or figuring out which books to read to get the information I need. Over the last 2 years, I've learned the art of skimming to improve my ability to read more, while sometimes reading less. Skimming, also known as inspectional reading, is the second level of reading. Please check out my previous video where I explain the different levels. The central goal of this level is to answer the question, what is the overall message of this book? This stage is useful when you're pressed for time or need to determine if a book is worth a more in-depth read, or when you're trying to read very difficult books. The objective is to get the most value from the material within a limited time frame, which often means skimming or superficial reading to grasp the book's content, genre, tone, and structure. There are two main types of inspectional reading: systematic skimming or pre-reading, and surface level reading. Let's start with surface level reading because it has really helped me get through hard texts. The idea of surface level reading is to read through a difficult text without stopping to analyze every single detail right away. Now I get it. If you're like me, you want to understand everything on the first go, and that can make this approach frustrating. But there are some great perks to it. Well, for one, as you keep going, things often start to click, and your understanding improves naturally, which helps you avoid getting stuck early on. Number two, it helps you avoid overthinking. If you stop too often, you can lose the flow and make things more confusing. Just keep moving and the overall message will come through at some point and make things better. Number three, even if you understand only 50% of the content on the first read, this partial understanding will help you better comprehend difficult sections during a second reading. Lastly, even if you don't revisit the book, understanding half of a complex work is more beneficial than not understanding it at all, and definitely better if you try than not try at all. So, what's the best way to go about reading these difficult texts? Then understanding our two primary aims, which are one, you don't want to spend months reading this difficult book. It's just going to increase your frustration. And two, you want to get the main thesis or the overall message of the book. There are 4 strategies that you can approach this with. One, you can start by removing your internal monologue. This is the voice in your head that reads each word aloud when you're reading. It's like it feels normal, but it actually slows you down. It's like you're stuck reading at the speed of speech, which isn't super fast. To really boost your reading speed, you've got to stop hearing the words in your head and just see them. It might sound weird, but think of it like when you see a stop sign. You don't read the word stop, you just process it in your head. There's tools that you can use that are free, like Spreeder and SwiftReader, to help you train your brain to read this way. You can adjust the speed, the number of words you see at once, and basically get used to reading without that little voice slowing you down, essentially. At first, this might seem strange, but give it a day or so and you'll be reading much quicker with it. Remember, the main point of this is to get the overall idea or theme or thesis of the text you're reading. Number 2, use a visual tracker. This is a trick I use every single time I read. I use either my finger or a pen or even my phone stylus to track the words as I read. It sounds basic, but it really does work. When you're just using your eyes, they don't always move smoothly. They tend to dance around on the page and even backtrack, which wastes time. When you use a visual tracker, this keeps your eyes moving steadily across the page without doubling back, so you can maintain a good reading speed. As you get used to it, you can increase your speed by just, picking up the pace with your tracker. Number 3, apply the 80-20 rule for nonfiction work. When reading nonfiction work, not every single word and sentence is going to be valuable. Books like this often pack all the important information into small chunks of the text, while the rest is filled with examples and fluff, which are important, but that's not the main point you're reading the book. You're there for the thesis. This is where the 80-20 rule comes in, where 80% of the knowledge comes from about 20% of the book. So you don't need to read every word and every sentence very carefully. Just try to skim through the less important sections quickly using the visual tracker like I had mentioned, or without the internal monologue. And then when you hit a point, a specific argument or like a golden nugget of advice, slow down and try to absorb that. It's about being smart with your time and focusing on the parts that actually matter. Number 4, summarize each page. After you're finished reading a page, don't just move on without thinking. Stop for a second and try to summarize what you've just read in 1 or 2 sentences. It forces your brain to engage with the material and it helps you remember it better. Even if the page didn't say anything groundbreaking or you didn't learn anything new, you can still jot down nothing important or didn't learn anything. It still counts as a summary, as weird that is, because this practice is like a mental workout for your brain. The more you do it, the better you'll get at remembering and understanding what you've read. It's especially useful when you're reading for school or trying to study something important. The second type of pre-reading is what most people actually mean by skimming. You use this when you want to get the most out of a text within a short period of time, or when you're trying to judge if a book is worth your time. Systematic skimming is a lifesaver when you're pressed for time, such as when writing a paper or exploring a topic quickly. It helps you decide whether a book is worth digging into for a more detailed read. To do this, you start by examining the title, subtitle if there is one, and the preface. This gives you insight into the book's scope and purpose. The preface often provides context about the author's perspective and may highlight the unique angle they bring to the topic. Next, scan the table of contents. The table of contents serves as a roadmap outlining how the author develops their thesis. By reviewing chapter titles and subheadings, you can identify the main arguments and the progression of ideas. This initial overview, especially if you choose to go further, prepares you for a more focused reading experience. Number 3, read the index and appendix. These sections offer a quick overview of the topics covered and the sources the author has referenced. This can help you gauge the breadth and depth of the material. Number 4, read the publisher's blurb or the introduction. I'm guilty of ignoring these sections because I feel like they're often promotional, but they provide a concise summary of the book's central thesis and the author's motivations for writing. Understanding this can clarify why the topic is significant and whether it aligns with your interests. All these steps will help you figure out if the book is really worth a deeper read. If you decide to go ahead, head back to the table of contents and pick up the chapters that seem most important to the main idea. Skim the summaries at the end of those chapters, and if needed, read a few key paragraphs to follow the author's argument. And then lastly, check out the conclusion or the last few pages at the end of the text, not the epilogue with the actual text itself, since this usually is where the author sums up their key points and explains why the topic even matters. Systematic skimming is essential for analytical reading because it gives you a snapshot of the book's structure. It helps you see how the ideas are organized. Superficial reading, on the other hand, is the first step to understanding the content and prepares you for a deeper dive into the material. So here's the thing. I've always been someone who wants to understand everything right now. But over time, I've realized that it's not about rushing to finish a book or cramming every detail into my head all at once. It's about finding the right balance between skimming and diving deeper. About knowing when to breeze through and when to slow down and savor the content. Skimming, surface level reading, and analytical strategies aren't shortcuts. They're tools that help you engage with books in a smarter way. Reading is a skill, not just a hobby. And like any skill, you get better with practice. So yeah, I still want to be a faster reader, but I've also come to appreciate the importance of pacing myself. Growth takes time, and so does truly absorbing new ideas. It's a journey, and the more I practice these strategies, the more I realize that it's not just about getting through the book, but about how much I take away from it in the end.